Welcome back to BNFM, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of Bottleless Nation. I'm your host, Kylie, and today we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, HR, benefits, and open enrollment. We're joined by two of the best in the business, our very own HR director, Stacy Weiler, and senior HR consultant and previous HR director, Dick Veach, aka Papa. They're here to break down what's new this year, answer some of the most common questions, and share how HR is supporting our team as we grow. Welcome to BNFM, both of you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I want to start off learning a little bit more about you guys and how you got into HR. So Dick, since you were here first, why don't you start with how you got into HR and what brought you into Bottleless Nation?
Well, I've been in HR for a long time. I started in another company in about 1970 in several different levels of HR, from industrial security to labor relations to director of human resources. So I've been doing this a long time. It was just an interest that I had, and along with educational opportunities, I just wanted to get into HR because I liked working with people and um, enjoyed it. So most people that know you work in HR think you're crazy. So, uh, but uh, but as far as coming into Bottleless Nation in 2018, let me back up a step. I had retired from one company and then actually a second company. It was a banking institution. I was in HR there as a director, and in 2018, Rick had asked me to come in and do an audit for Office H2O because they started in 2015 and had really started to begin growing. Artesian had just come on board. So I came in just to do an overview audit of not only HR, but looked at their uh, liability insurances and looked at their fleet management programs and other things, including HR. I was to be there for till the end of the year because it was about August, and um, I'm still here. So as uh, as things grew, my role changed to more strictly HR, and so like you talked about learning the business, I knew sort of a cursory part of the business because Rick has been in the water business since about 2005, I believe, and so just by being around it a little bit, I knew some, but as I started working on the audit side, I started learning a lot more about how the business worked, and um, plus it was an opportunity to work with family and help try to start a business grow. So that's sort of how I got involved here with uh, Office H2O, now Bottleless Nation.
Yeah. So you've been able to see the change and the growth, and I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot that's changed in just in the past 5 years. So that's very cool.
Oh yeah, there's been a ton changed because again, 2018, I think roughly Office H2O maybe had 25 people.
Mm-hmm.
Artesian might have had 25 people. So today we're in the 360 people range, and H2O was primarily Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Sellersburg.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Artesian was basically Detroit. Um, so that was the acquisition. So, but yeah, we didn't have
Wow.
too many people, so it's grown a lot.
Yeah. No, that is very interesting. And then Stacy, when did you come on board? Tell us a little bit about your story.
I came on board in May of this year. I have
Okay.
been talking to Rick and Austin and to Dick for a few years, though. I was a referral. I know that you've heard people talk about they love getting referrals from current team members, and um, we've talked maybe 4 times over the last 3 years about different positions, and um, I've always just been very interested and intrigued in this business, and was very excited to finally get the right opportunity to be able to join.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And were you always in HR prior, I guess? And were you in the water business, or is this your first in the water business?
No, my freshman year of college, I worked as a cashier, and I fell in love with the HR manager's job there in that retail setting, and that's
Mm-hmm.
actually what formed my decision to be in the field of HR. I have worked in the HR field for almost 30 years, not not quite as many as Dick, but still a lot. Um, and I did not come from the water industry. I've been in a couple of different industries,
Mm-hmm.
retail being a big one, and the staffing industry as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think the one thing about HR that's different than other areas is, when Austin started off as H2O, I feel like HR isn't the first thing where you're like, I need someone in HR. You're like, oh, I need, a salesperson, or I need service people, or, I need these other entities. But at what moment do you think that people are like, oh, actually, we need to start thinking about hiring someone in HR? Like, what usually brings that upon, a business if they don't already have it?
Well, I think
Maybe that's a
I
loaded
th-
question. I don't
well, no,
know.
it is a loaded question. Um, I think where the realization comes in, there's just a lot more that gets involved with dealing with people uh, in the business that can create liability and other things. Because we
Hmm.
have benefits plans, we have state and federal regulations that have to be complied with, OSHA regulations, on and on, that all touch the people and the business itself. So that's it's a delicate balance between doing the things that are good for your people and make sure you're taking care of the people that work for you and keeping things in alignment, and then also protecting the rights of the business and making sure that we're in compliance with everything legal and that sort of thing. So I think that's when the realization comes in that, gee, we need to have somebody kind of looking over the people side and the business side of in the human element of the business.
Yeah, no,
I think
definitely.
I think it depends too on who you ask. I think if you were to ask Dick or I think HR should be your first hire to
Hmm.
Yes.
keep you straight and uh, keep you legal from the beginning, and to help out in all of those areas that Dick just mentioned. But a lot of businesses don't do that. They will
Yeah,
sit and wait on it. And to your point, Kylie, that's not the first thing that you think of.
yeah. And when you think about HR, I guess with Bottleless Nation specifically, for everyone's edification who's listening, what is the scope of work that you guys have? So it's like, okay, if you're thinking about this, where are your people that you come to for those types of things? Because I think when I think of HR, a lot of it is more benefits related, or maybe something out of the handbook, or something like that. But I know that there's more that you guys cover. So for all the people in Bottleless Nation, Stacy, what is it that you guys are currently covering? So if they have an issue with X, Y, and Z, or a question, they know to come to you guys.
Hmm. We can be a good resource for a lot of things. Our team, we are comprised of 6 people, and we have an HR generalist, and she covers everything from onboarding, benefit questions, getting people's computer set up on their first day. Um, really, any of those things that you just mentioned that are kind of like the traditional HR duties.
Okay.
Um, we have 2 recruiters, a director of recruiting and a corporate recruiter. They bring everybody in. They work with the hiring managers to find the right people. I think people would be really surprised to know the number of people that they talk to every week to get to 1 or 2 hires, and it's generally somewhere in the area of 60 to 70 people to whittle it down to get to that 2 to 3 hire for the week.
Yeah.
So all of the hiring. Also, a function of the HR department is to help the business understand, what things they should and shouldn't do with regards to um, doing a corrective action or writing a performance and improvement plan, being there to be that sounding board, to be that help in that area as well. Those are some of the things that I think that are most important in what we do.
Yeah. And how has I mean, you guys have both been in HR for a while. How has the landscape of HR changed of the things that you guys cover? Has it always been those things? Has there, I guess just could you walk us through what that's looked like over, you said you've been in for 30 years, Stacy. Like, I mean, I can't imagine that it's been exactly the same. So I guess I'd be interested to hear more about that.
Yeah. I think that HR is really coming to the forefront of a lot of businesses. I would say 30 years ago, we were an administrative function. We were there to do the onboarding. We were there to process the paperwork. We weren't there to help make any of the decisions that guide the business. We weren't seen as a true business partner, someone who can help on the HR side of things, but help the business progress. And so there's definitely a huge difference there from my point of view.
Yeah. What about you, Dick?
Yeah, I would agree because again, going back as long as I go back, um, it has changed a tremendous amount because HR is now viewed as a business partner because decisions get made, you know, obviously, the the sales side and all the other sides of this business, they talk through things, but also we have to partner with them. We're dealing with right now we're what 15 states, 26 locations. And each of these states have different rules and regulations that we have to abide by. So before they start going into one of the new locations, or as we look for expansion and growth, they're partnering with our team to make sure that we can have work comp coverage and we can have, whatever regulation that goes into those states. And some states are more difficult than others. State regulations and the federal regulations get to be more challenging, I guess, as time goes on. Um, and that's just part of what we have to do to help partner with that business to make sure that um, everything is compliant. And then as we bring in people, like Stacy said, the recruiters now are recruiting for all these different states as well. So they'd have to know the landscape of the state and the requirements for those states. And so that's another big piece of what we have to be on top of all the time to make sure that everything is compliant before we go into a state. Um, and it just ties us as an integral business partner.
Yeah. And that makes me think about, as you're talking about all of the different locations that we have, and, for those who probably have listening, they know that we have consolidated into one name. And I guess as we've done that, what has been a big focus for HR as we grow nationally, but also kind of condense into one, common name under Bottleless Nation?
Well, one of the things, this has been, this hasn't been thought up like overnight as far as, we're going to become one Bottleless Nation. Um, we've been working on this thing for a couple of years, really. In the accounting side, and you've heard them talk about consolidated balance sheets and things like that. So they've been working on that. We've had to go through a lot of things on the HR side, especially the payroll side, um, to where to get the information from payroll over to our QuickBooks account. That took a lot of effort uh, to do pivot tables and moving the data over. Um, as everybody knows, we changed our 401k provider over because of this consolidation. Because as we grow, um, we outgrew employee fiduciary, so that's why we went to Slavic for our 401k plan. So there's been a lot of stuff in the background over the last couple of years to get us to this point where we're going to consolidate this together and then move all the employees, into one team, if you will. So that's a lot of what we've been doing in the background to help get this set up, working with the sales teams and accounting and all the others, and Stacy's also going through a lot of stuff to help us get uh, a little bit more in compliant with a bigger company, because once we consolidate it together, a lot of the rules from the federal and state levels change. So it takes a lot of back end work, and Stacy's been working herself to death over trying to get some of this stuff done, and doing a great job at it.
And what kind of things, Stacy, when you talk about compliance, what kind of things are those? And you don't have to go like nitty gritty. I'm sure there's many different things, but just what kind of things are those, like as we do become one and we are nationwide? What does that look like?
Mhm. A lot of what I've been working on is, making sure that like our personnel files are compliant. One other thing that was really important to me coming in was making sure that we can have access to those files from anywhere. And so I have done a lot of scanning of documents and getting those placed into our HRIS, and um, making sure that the things, in a small business, sometimes people will start putting things in files that aren't necessarily the right fit. And so just making sure that all the things are in the right place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the same vein, our HRIS system, uh, taking a little bit more control. We use Tilson, of course, the PEO, and um, in the past, it's been a lot of, we're going to make up job titles, make up, whatever we want, and we throw it at Tilson, and they just put it in the system. And, that happens. That happens a lot. That's not unusual in a smaller company. But as we get bigger, that's something that we have to really nail down. We have to make sure that our EEO1 classifications are correct, and that everybody's under the correct workers' comp code, and making sure that we have titles that you know uh, that make sense, um, that are similar with each other.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That's interesting. And what kind of trends do you guys see coming in HR, like in the next coming year? Are there any things that you're seeing that might come to fruition that might change the landscape a little bit, or maybe that might just happen just because we are changing internally as well? Is there anything coming there for people to know about?
I don't really think there's a lot of change that'll be coming over the next few years. Again, um, as we grow bigger, obviously there's some changes.
Mm-hmm.
Before One of the things that we have to be compliant with now is the FMLA, the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act. So that's a little bit different as we've gotten bigger. We were Our posture for medical leaves and stuff mirrored that anyway. So it's not a huge change, but it's just a matter. There's some reporting differences and stuff like that that we have to make sure we're relying on. But getting information out to people timely, and as Stacy said, we use Tilson to help with a lot of that kind of stuff. As far as the paperwork is concerned, but I don't really see a lot changing in the landscape. We don't know what AI is going to do to any of our business landscapes, but I'm sure that's going to touch HR in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it gets real interesting, because you can go out on these platforms now and generate a resume very easily by just adding some data. So, um, I think screening and things like that for hires, background checks and things like that may get a little bit more contentious when we get into more of the recruiting mode. So That's what I see. Stacy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's a whole lot that's going to change um, in the near future, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, the AI thing is interesting because a couple different people that I've talked to in different facets of Bodiless Nation have brought up AI and how it's shifting things for them and just some different things to think about. So it's interesting. I mean, obviously in marketing, we utilize tools to our advantage, but it's interesting to see how in other areas it's also it's everywhere basically. So it's interesting to see how you guys are thinking about it. I never thought about generating resume using AI, and that's wow. Yeah, I guess that's something people would do, so that makes sense. Okay, moving forward, I have some questions about open enrollment. Could you break down open enrollment for everyone? I know that this is something you've been sending out in your weekly emails. So this is a great place. You have the stage to talk about open enrollment and why it matters, what people need to know about it, any deadlines or dates, and just kind of tell everyone what they need to know.
Mhm. I think the most important thing that people need to know is that even if you already have your selections made, you're currently enrolled in our medical, dental, vision, all of those things, um, you have to go in and click the buttons. You have to go in and tell the computer, yes, I still want this plan and I still have this many dependents and so on. It doesn't just, go from year to year. I think that's the most important message to get out.
Okay.
As far as when it is, we have turned in our selections and we are waiting now for a benefit guide to be created and we are waiting for our dates. We don't get to choose those, but
Okay.
we've been told it's going to be late November, so we should be hearing any day now.
Okay. I'm glad that you said that you need to reselect because I will need to reselect. So that's good. That's good information to have.
Well, one of the things too that along with, not necessarily with open enrollment, but one of the things that I want to emphasize because I'm kind of looking after the 401k plans
Mm-hmm.
now is since we've gone to Slavic, people need to be proactive on their 401k plan. What I'm seeing, especially the people that get automatically enrolled, and that's the way our plans are set up, is for an auto enrollment of 4%. If they don't make a selection, they can always opt out. There's a way to do that on the site. But I'm seeing with people that get automatically enrolled, they're not going on the site to pick out any type of investment, so it goes to a default investment, which is fine. But they're also not entering their email addresses, and they're not putting in their beneficiary pieces on that, which is very important because if something were to happen to them and they don't have a beneficiary name, that gets kind of ugly.
Okay.
And then if they move or anything like that, I know that this is a great time of year because they're going into their sites anyway to make sure that their addresses are correct, so their W-2 forms get sent to the right place and all of that. So it's a great time to go in during open enrollment, go into your 401k plan because it's a different site. If you change your address in Tilson, it may not get transferred over to Slavic. Some of this stuff doesn't transfer back and forth. So be proactive in looking at your Tilson account, looking at your pay stub. A lot of people have no idea how to look at their pay stub and get sometimes get surprised. Look at your 401k elections. Just had a conversation yesterday with an individual that thought they were in the Roth 401k plan, and they weren't. And they certainly thought they were, but if they had looked on their site, they would have known that, and then they could
Mm-hmm.
make the change and did. But so it's incumbent upon the team member to go out there and take a look at their benefits programs and all this kind of stuff, life events, if children are born or there's a divorce or there's different changes that changes things in the insurance uh, packages, and you know uh, the team member needs to be proactive to get all that stuff set up in their system.
Mm-hmm. And the best way to do that, if they're like, if they do have a life event, is that something they can change themselves, or do they need to contact you guys?
They can change those things themselves. They
Okay.
can go on to tilsonhr.com and log in.
Okay.
Everyone has their own login. They'll do it there.
Okay. Perfect. Good to know. I've never had any changes like that needed to be made, so that is good to know. And then one of the things you were talking about, the 401k, you talked about how we were switching over, and I guess, are there any different offerings now that we've switched over, or is it because of like an employee number count, or I guess what kind of incites those changes?
Uh, the investment offerings, there's a few more different investment offerings that are out there with Slavic than there was with employee fiduciary.
Okay.
One of the main reasons was size. The employee fiduciary was set up to be a small employer provider for
Okay.
401k, and then also we had Norwood Economics, which is the financial advisor side. So that consolidated under Slavic. So the financial advisors, you can call the 1-800-356-3009 option one and talk to their customer service, and they can hook you up with anything that you need to know about the 401k plan, how to get in, and then they can steer you to, for investment questions and things like that. So that's kind of a one-stop shop. And then, of course, they're a lot bigger company. So from it actually reduces the cost of the plan to the company considerably by going with a bigger provider.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And I guess when it comes to I'm kind of switching back and forth here, Stacey, I'm thinking about, just as people, they don't have the option to pick their plan yet, but when they are, do you have any tips and tricks for maybe some things for people to look at before they do pick a plan, things to keep in mind? Because I know that you guys live in this world, but for those of us who get in there once a year and pick a plan, we're like, wait, what is this? Where do we do? Which one would be better? So I know that a lot of people have those feelings. Do you have any tips for them?
I think it's really important for people to look at the benefit guide, sit down and talk with your loved ones about it, and just kind of go through all the scenarios, and just, think about yourself. Do you have a lot of medical bills? Do you have a lot of doctor bills? No. Okay, well, this is not, that's not important. So we can maybe kind of pick this plan that's a little bit less. Or, do you have more prescriptions, and what those prescriptions look like? That will help you determine which one's going to be the best fit for you too. But really kind of just walking through all those scenarios with your loved ones is a good idea.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
would
that's
I would
awesome.
agree with that too. And I think one of the things that people kind of shy away from, but maybe they shouldn't, is to do their research on HSAs, health savings accounts. You have
Hmm.
to have a high deductible plan for that, but if you're, like Stacy said, if you have a lot of medical issues and what have you, you might not want to do that. But if you're relatively have good health and you could set these things up, the health savings accounts that you can set up with a high deductible plan is a savings account, and um, that that money stays in that account and it grows and until you would need it, as long as you want to put it in there, as opposed to an FSA, which is a, a savings account that you have to use within the year. Um, so if you do your research and take a look at high deductible plans And HSAs, that might be a way to go. I mean, it keeps your premiums a lot lower. You still have the coverages. Of course, you've got a higher deductible, but that savings account just goes, and it grows based on interest and everything else, just like a 401k would. And you can keep that as long as you have it. And then if you have a major setback, you've got the deductible already set aside. So that's another thing for people to kind of think about as they talk about the plans. And I think there's not enough consideration given to the high deductible plans just because people don't know enough about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually have my HSA set up, and I've loved having it because I just bought new contacts, and I pulled from that money to pay for them and things like that for when I needed it. So it's been a good fit, and I know everyone has a different situation, but I've enjoyed having that money set aside for when I needed it for something. So it's been awesome. Okay, my next question for you guys is more on the side of just kind of just employee like experience and making a good environment for people to be in. What does that look like for you guys, for especially when people are in an office and they're working together on a day-to-day basis? What kind of things are you guys thinking of just to, I don't know, keep morale up and make people excited? Is that something that falls within your realm, or is that like, is it kind of a tag team with other people?
I think it can be. It's a little bit of a tag team for those fun things. We've got actually one person here in the office who really enjoys doing things like that, being the cheerleader, being the one who is going to go out and help someone celebrate a new apartment or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. We put together little gift bags for things like that. We also have a new travel and event coordinator who is going to be taking care of a lot of those things too, planning those events.
Stephanie, right?
Stephanie
Stephanie? Okay.
Kappas.
Yes.
hmm
Awesome.
Yeah, and so so a little bit, yes,
Yeah,
doing those fun kind of things.
that's cool. And what, I guess, when you guys are thinking about people and maybe their success, like what does that look like for you guys as their, I don't know, I feel like for HR, it's kind of like a mentorship thing and making sure that people are kind of finding their way and fitting in and things like that. I guess, do you guys have anything that are like that's top of mind when it comes to those types of things, as far as programs or different offerings, or what does that look like for you guys?
You want to tackle that, Stacy?
Um, well, as far as programs go, yes, not for every role that we have here in the company.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of the roles that are really, really important that are out in the public that are going to require a lot of training and a lot of skill and a lot of learning from peers and learning from others is the sales university and the tech university that we have here. We are going to be doing one about every 2 or 3 weeks next year because of the amount of hiring that we're going to be doing.
Wow.
And that is a week-long training where, for a salesperson, for example, they'll come in for the entire week and they are going to learn everything from, how to talk to somebody when you open up their door, and how maybe sometimes not to walk through the front door, but go to the back door and find the receiving guy and have them deliver you to the right person who's in charge of their drinking water. All the way up to, the talk tracks of why is our water better than drinking the water that you have currently, and doing those tests for folks, and all of the things that you would really need to know about water, on a scientific level as well as on a sales level, they're going to learn in this university. Same with the technicians, how to tear the machines apart, how to put them together, how to do preventive maintenance, all of those things.
And I think that those are just really, really awesome opportunities for people who are coming on, so that they aren't thrown to the wolves. Like, we want you to succeed. Here's this program that we're offering from, the beginning. giving you all the tools that they might need when they are in the field, working with the machines or selling. So I think that that's like such a awesome opportunity, because I personally have been hired in a job where I felt like I wasn't given the tools that I needed, and that's not a very fun place to be. So you mentioned a lot of new hires in the coming years, or not in the coming year. Do we have any goals for that as far as like growth? And since you are on the hiring side of things, what does that look like for 2026? Because you said what we're at like 300.
There are plans currently to open 5 more offices in 2026. And so opening an office is going to mean, obviously, we've got to hire a salesperson. We've got to hire at least 1 technician, and in a lot of cases, 2 or 3 technicians in each of those locations. And, the goal is that our sales team, the ones that we're going to recruit in 2026, but also the folks who are here currently, are going to continue to sell as much as they can so that our business expands. So we need more technicians to take care of, the things that we're working on currently as well. So I can't give you an exact number right at this time, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things too that we'll be looking at with this growth and other things that are going on as we go into One Bottleless Nation, we do post a lot of our jobs internally so people know what's coming down the road. And we have had some people that have said, hey, I would like to go to this new location. So it gives people an opportunity if for example, if we open up a new location in anywhere, if someone wants to move to that location and they know that we're opening that up, again, it would be incumbent upon them to, be a great performer and all this sort of thing. So they would be considered for the ability to go to a new shop somewhere as a technician or as a salesperson, BDR or whatever it is. So we're trying to open up that opportunities within the company too, so people understand what's out there in the marketplace to give people an opportunity to grow with the company. Because there's only going to be so many selling supervisors or regional selling managers or regional service managers. So to be able to give people an opportunity to go and fill in these other roles is making sure that we get the information out, and then that people reach out to the recruiting team and say, hey, I'd be interested in going to Memphis or Little Rock or whatever the case is, and see what kind of details those are. So.
Yeah, that's very cool. And that's a good point too, because other people, may be looking for those opportunities. And it's always nice to know that we're looking to hire internally, and especially people who already know what they're doing. I think that's such a cool opportunity. So thanks for mentioning that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And if I can put a plug out there for, current team members who are looking to make a move, we currently have all of our job openings listed on SharePoint. However, something that's really cool that's coming down the pipeline, our director of recruiting, Josh Stortzum, is working with marketing to do an internal careers page. And so, internal and external folks can apply through that web page, and those will feed directly to our recruiting team in the future. So they'll get a really good snapshot, like a live snapshot of what we're looking for and where we're looking to fill those roles.
I love that. That's good to know. I hope everyone's listening. I hope they're taking notes. So that's cool. Well, this has been awesome. I know that I've learned a lot. I have one final question for you guys before we wrap up that I've been asking everyone. And it is just, if you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be? So I don't know who wants to take this one first, but that is the final question I have for you guys.
Wow, it's hard for me to remember what my younger self was like here, but at this point in time. But I think for advice, if you're looking at, your career, and whatever it is that you do, give it your all, and then, um, get an idea of where you would like to, end up or go. And sometimes you have to take a risk and take opportunities and move to different locations on faith, and or do what you need to do to get where you are. And that's sort of how I've progressed over my career. Is opportunities presented themselves, and I could have very easily said, I don't think I want to do that, but um, did move and what have you. So trust in yourself, trust in and have faith in yourself. And um, you know, if there's something comes out there that you think is something that you uh, want to get involved in, don't be afraid to go for it. So
That's awesome. Stacy?
I think my advice to myself would be along those same lines. Don't look for a career that you won't be in love with. If you love what you do, then it makes your life much easier. Makes going to work for you every single day easier.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, and we will look forward to hearing this live, and we will talk soon.
Thank you.
okay, well, thank you.